So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Peter Ibbetson, who's an escaped banker turned founder at Journolink. So, Peter, thank you so much for spending a bit of time with us. And if firstly you'd like to introduce yourself, Journolink, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, fine. Well, Chris, delighted to be with you. And what a way to be described as an escaped banker. Honestly, that's what it is, right? There's too many people, and this is a learning its own right. There are too many people who get into a job and just sit there, wait for the retirement, and then just head off to the golf course bored. Right. I was heavily influenced by a guy called Kakabatsi, who was a Cranfield tutor. Don't know if you ever
Yeah,
heard of that guy. And
no,
he, the first 10 years of his life was in a sort of police negotiations team. He actually negotiated the St. James's Square Iranian issue.
okay.
Then he did 10 years as a lecturer in Cranfield, which is when I met him. And then he said he was going to do his last 10 years as a member of parliament. And his great philosophy in life is too short. Fill that time as best as you can.
Brilliant.
I have to say, he never actually made it as a politician. So he got to the end of Cranbrook. I don't know what happened to him then, but he influenced me a lot. So, escaped banker is probably the right way. Look, I ended up with a brilliant banking career. So, went through the whole plan of play of retail banking, then corporate banking. I did about 7 or 8 years investment banking when I ran the aerospace division in NatWest, just living on a plane for about 7 years, going around the world doing the
Wow.
craziest deals you can imagine,
Wow.
financing aircraft, then came back and went from that mad world of five-star hotels and investment banking to leading business banking in that West, which was like going to work in a rickety lift and in a very thin carpet tiles. So, from mad to crazy. But spent about 7 or 8 years running the business bank in that West. Then had the opportunity to get out at age 47 when Kakabatsi brain came into play to say, do you know what? There's something else I can do in life. So escaped at that stage before the financial crash,
Yep.
in good shape when I left it. So, not my fault.
Good man.
Then 5 years later, so I'd done some of the non-exec stuff, played my own game, got my own furrow. And then 5 years later, when the financial crash hit, I got dragged back in by the RBS group at that stage
Yeah.
to front all their media for them.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's the interesting thing, Chris. One of the philosophies I found is when you're employed, you don't actually work out what you're good at because you
Yeah.
go to work to do your job, you go home at the end of the day, you get paid a salary every month, and so it goes on. So it goes on. You don't really have to look in the mirror and say to yourself, what am I good at? What are my skills? What are my failings?
Yeah.
What do I need to get people to help me with? I found out when I came back to support the bank, to support RBS in the media and NatWest in the media. Here was I in 2008, fronting for probably the most hated bank in the most hated sector in the biggest economic decline we'd ever had.
Yeah.
And I was the face on the camera trying to reinvent that brand, if you like, and
Yeah.
and sort of give a position that honestly, we're human beings,
Yes.
human people, we're all in tough times, right?
Yeah.
I learned then what I was good at.
Yeah.
And only then did I learn what I was good at then. The one thing that I learned, and a lot of people can use this in, whether they're running their own business or whatever they're doing. What I learned then was people don't hear what you say. People hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So whoever you're dealing with, you have to adapt and adjust to what you believe the expectation is of the person you're talking to. And
Yeah.
that's not being disingenuous about the person at all.
No, no, no,
This
I get that.
is deep in us that says, I'm going to translate what you say to me in the way
Yeah.
that I want to translate it. So you really have to think about how you communicate with people
Yeah.
to land your messages. And this comes into, how do I sell a product? How do I explain what I do? In my case, how do I help manage and coach a 20-year-old? I mean, I look back, I started a business 50 years ago. came into business 50 years ago.
Wow.
Computers hadn't been invented, right? Computers hadn't been invented. So there were no mobile phones. You
Yep.
know, there were 4 TV channels and that was it, right? So I've had to move from that time
Yeah.
to a completely different world now.
Yeah.
And you know, when I talk to my grandkids now, they speak a different language. I'm doing a book with my 9-year-old grandson at the moment, which was what life was like when my grandfather was my age 60 years ago.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
And he cannot compute what's, you know, so you didn't have computers. How did you play Minecraft then? Right?
Yeah.
So so look, so the one thing I learned on this was people will hear not necessarily what you say, but
Yeah.
what they expect and want to hear. And I use that as a mantra, whoever I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, in my in the banking days, I could be negotiating one of the most complex finance deals that you can imagine, financing 3 or 4 aircraft. I could then the following day be coaching 9-year-old kids at rugby, and then 2 days later be visiting Tony Blair in the context of I'm a banker and here to talk to you. 3 totally, utterly different environments.
Yep.
And you need to adapt to those. So that's sort of what I learned, and that'd be the main thing that I've taken. But I got out of banking when I was 47.
Yep.
Got dragged back in 4 or 5 years later, front of the media, worked at what I was good at, and then started a business with what I was good at. And
Great.
that's an outfit called Journolink. And the philosophy, the game plan in Journolink was how do we help every business manage their PR, get themselves into the media without it costing them 10 grand a month with a PR
Yeah.
agency. So how do you help the 5 million SMEs in the country do it? We built that 12 years ago. And I can say from 12 years ago to now, we've rebuilt that 5 times. And the world has changed immeasurably,
Yes.
even at that time, Chris.
Yes.
Remarkable changes. So that's the sort of history. And, you know, that's why I'm still ticking on now.
So I mean, just focusing on journaling for a second, because you say things have changed. I mean, I'm just conscious of um, the history of I know it's public relations or media relations, but looking at the US at the moment with what's going on there, the use of channels, the messaging, the whole situation is just it seems a million miles away from what happens in the UK, but I doubt it will be that for very long. But just journaling, just for anyone that's watching that would be interested in journaling specifically, we do have lots of business owners and SME businesses. What sort of things does journaling do?
Yeah. So, yeah, good challenge, Chris. Good challenge. We started it on the basis that there's 5 million businesses out there. Surely they all want to grow their brands by getting into the media. How can we help them? How can we help them? So at
Yep.
a very, very, very affordable price, 50 quid a month. Here's an online PR agency, does it all, does it all for you. You
Yep.
write a press release. What we found on that is businesses set their priorities on, I guess, what's in their brain when they wake up. And 2 things in the brain when they wake up, right? Am I going to win the contract? Right? Is the taxman going to come and get me? They're the sort of 2 things that kind of worry me.
Yep.
Way down the priority list is marketing, right? And I'm teaching you to suck eggs with this,
No,
Chris.
no, it's
But
good. Yeah, yeah.
but the very last thing that I worry about is the marketing I have to do today.
Yeah.
All I want is, am I going to win the contract so the cash comes in, and who's going to come and bite me?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
the
yeah.
everywhere. And then then I pop the bottle of wine at the end of the day and try and relax a bit. It's tough world running a business, very tough world. So what we tried to do here was say, look, we'll give you the tool that helps you do it. What we found is that unless you say to a business, it's done for you,
Yeah.
then they're probably never going to do it.
Yep.
So we've spent the last 2 years delving into the depth of AI, artificial intelligence, positioning the Journalink platform as a completely AI-driven model. So
Yeah.
now where we've moved to is we will tell you every month what the 4 or 5 things you should be putting in the media. Choose the
Right.
one, right? And we access that through AI very intelligently for you, personalized for your business. and you'll look at it and you'll go, wow, never thought of that. Yep, that's what the media is going to be interested in. That captures what we know the right journalists will want. We capture what is likely to be happening in the world at this stage, what's happening in your sector. This is what you should be doing. One click of a button, we will have that written for you using AI very intelligently. So not a simple one bot sort of chat GPT thing that's not totally accurate. You've got to check and rewrite. Ours is heavily driven to be accurate. So we will have that written for you in about half a minute. You will look at that and go, that's cool. Read it first just to make sure, but it's cool. Press a button. Then our AI modeling will have already identified which journalists will be interested in this story within this piece, and we will distribute it to those journalists.
Yeah, brilliant.
So it's all completely AI driven.
Nice.
And that can be done economically. So effectively, where we got to now is it's done for you. And we have marketing agencies, advisors, action coach advisors, PR agencies themselves saying, this is gold dust to me. This is doing what used to take me 3-4 women days. Now it's happening in 5 minutes, and it's accurate. It's accurate. We've also built another piece, which is very interesting, that we push out under the client intel .ai brand, which is about a 25, if you break it down, it's about a 25-page PDF version of an intelligence report in terms of your external positioning. So we don't look at your finance or anything like that, but we'll look at you as a business. We'll look at your sector. We'll look at what's trending in the media, what's likely to come in the media. We look at your competitors. We tell you who your competitors are, and we share with you what they are doing in the media at the time as well. So we really delve into that. We do a PESTLE report on it, SWOT analysis on it. We delve into that, and we can churn that out in about 5 minutes. And it's very accurate. So it's a separate piece, but it's, again, very much aimed at what's the external perception of your market. So, it comes back to my sort of, it's not what you say that matters, it's what people are hearing that matters in business. It comes back really to that. But yeah, that's the model we've driven to. There's another learning in this, Chris. There's another learning in this that I've been battered into my head over the years whilst I've been doing it. It is, I tell you, it is so different when you go to run a business than when you're employed. Anybody that's done 30, 40 years, and I know quite a few have done this now, but done 30, 40 years employed, earned a bit of cash, taken away some of that sort of risk and said, now I can, make the leap and do my own thing. Honestly, it's just like a thunderbolt when you come out of someone was paying you monthly to suddenly you're doing it yourself. And, you're suddenly introduced to this thing called VAT. Well, what the hell do I do with VAT? What's all that about, right? And, you're looking at a guy here who, effectively, I was responsible for 1 million small businesses in the UK when I was running banking on NatWest. I had no idea how to run a business then. None at all.
No.
You do it yourself, different world.
It's a different learning, isn't it?
Different world, but it changes so fast.
Right?
It changes so fast as well. So, if I go over the 12 years since we've set Journolink up, COVID's happened. Lockdown has happened. We never had effective Zoom calls.
Oh, no,
Never did, right? At best you'd have a phone call. You might do a video conferencing, which was really high stuff.
Absolutely.
We've got Zooms, we've got Chromes, we've got this, we've got that. And hey, and we don't need offices. So we started off in Journolink with 2 offices. We had an office in London, office down in Cardiff. We haven't got any of that now. We've now got people on the team who are Edinburgh, Glasgow, London, Yorkshire, Abu Dhabi, Russia, all in the team.
Brilliant.
And we have a 10 o'clock team call, all there. What we got to do, move on, get on with our lives.
Brilliant.
So much changed. And over the last 2 years, AI has appeared on the scene. So, and the speed that artificial intelligence is coming in now, I'm a bit of a dinosaur with technology, but believe me, you've got to live with this stuff. It is not going away.
Absolutely.
So, by all means, regulate it. And that might not be a bad thing.
Well, hopefully then, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, interestingly, in the development we've had in Journolink, we sort of used AI heavily, but we've actually found on a couple of occasions the AI model has closed down the AI thing that we built because the AI model thought it was the right thing to close it down. So suddenly you end up with AI arguing with another AI.
Interesting.
So you get all those bubbles that burst
Yeah.
in the, but look, you can't ignore it. So the pace of change is enormous. As a leader, what you have to do in that pace of change is adapt to that pace of change. You can't deny it. You know, you have a choice. And
Yeah.
I remember my old NatWest days when RBS came to take over NatWest. We had people in NatWest who were trying to persuade RBS to do things the NatWest way. Was never going to happen.
Yep.
RBS want to do things the RBS way.
Yep.
So you either adapt and move on, or you say goodbye.
Yep.
And that's life. You know, in business, that's life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And you move on or you say goodbye.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I find a lot, and both personally myself, but also working with many business owners and leaders, is there's a learning challenge from going from employee to business owner, but as importantly, if not more, it's an identity challenge. I think it's probably what you're referring to, but it's like who we need to be has to change quite significantly, I think.
Yeah, it's quite a shock, if I'm dead honest. It's
Yeah,
quite a
yeah.
shock. And it's quite a lonely place sometimes, Chris.
Yes.
And we do, you know, one of the things we do is we do crisis media coaching to senior execs.
Yes.
We do some presentation coaching as well. I work very closely with funnily enough, in my bad days of trying to defend NatWest and RBS in the media, one of the journalists kept snapping away at my ankles, and he could never sort of break the ankles, right? And he always said afterwards, "Don't know how you do this, but you're winning, you're winning it." And that was the sort of reassurance I found something I'm good at here. Uh, we've ended up being very, very good friends. Ted
Yep.
and myself, very, very good friends, and we set Journolink up together afterwards. And between the two of us, we do a media coaching model, which is me giving the input as to how you get your message over, you know, how you manage a real challenge, a
Yep.
damage, and or even how you simply enhance your presentational style so it hits the spot. And then Tet will come along and actually do the mainstream journalist interviewing,
Yep.
I'm not saying trying to catch you out, but put you under the real spotlight. Between those two, we can prepare people to manage their brand in a positive, very positive way. You've got to adapt. You've got to adapt to that all the time.
Yes.
And again, it comes down to how do I get my message over?
Yeah.
So yeah, you do need to grow into a different world. So mainstream employed to running it yourself, big shock. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How do I address those weaknesses? How do I
Yeah.
leverage the strengths? We can never be, one thing I learned on this, Chris, which I think is quite important, you can never be good at everything.
Yeah.
And too many people think they can fix everything, be good at everything themselves. You can't. You know, there are some things that I am rubbish at. Find good people around you to help you with that.
Yeah.
Focus on what you're really good at, leverage that, and fill the gaps with other people. Be big
Brilliant.
enough, be big enough to say, actually, I'm no good at that. I'm
Yeah.
no good at that.
It-
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I read a funny story. I found myself, winding back 30 years. Funny what you realize as you get a bit older, you sort of look back and think, yeah, I did that then. That's that. And I was on a sort of fast growth track within NatWest, and they tried to put every fast growth through to me to be an administration manager in one of the branches. Yeah. And the fast growth guys went to the big branches to be the administration manager, big branches. I am crap at admin. I am absolutely crap at admin. And I remember saying to the personnel guys at NatWest, do not put me as an admin manager in a branch because I will screw it up, right? By the end of my career, and I'll give you a mess. Don't do it. What job did I get? Admin manager to the group chief executive.
oh
Right.
my goodness.
But at least it wasn't a branch, so I couldn't screw it up that way.
oh my goodness.
But learn where your gaps are and be big
Yeah.
enough. Be big enough to say to yourself, I'm not good at that. Right? Always trying to improve, always trying to improve. But you know, use people who are good at the things you're not.
Absolutely.
Focus on your strengths.
It's amazing how many people in business that I meet and work with that they're doing so many things that they don't really like and therefore aren't very good at, because it's like the two things come together. We're good at what we like and we like what we're good at. It's sort of it's a
Yeah.
and yet spend hours and hours and big chunks of their time doing stuff they're not really good at, which typically is lower value than the stuff they really like and are really good at.
But then you question yourself, what drives that? All right. Now, when we do some of our media coaching with the senior chief execs, and we'll take them one side and we shut the door and we say, this is the two of us, and that's it. There's no reporting to anybody else. Open up, tell us what your problems are. What you find pretty well with every senior chief exec is they are lonely people and they
Yeah.
cannot open up to their teams to
Yep.
admit that there's a failure there.
Yeah.
We had a new chief exec of one of the emerging banks who actually started crying when we put a camera on him. And we said, it's not your strength. Don't do this. This is not. And he said, I can't tell anyone. I can't tell anyone. So it's a lonely place, and you
Mm.
have to be big enough to say, I'm not good at this. I need
Yeah.
help with it. It's a strength to ask for help.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. It's people see it as weakness, but it's absolutely a strength just to say this is what I'm really good at, and it's a happiness strategy as well. We're happier doing the stuff we like and we're good at, so we all deserve to be happy, is my belief. So let's
Yeah,
just
look, problem shared, problem halved.
absolutely,
I am
yeah,
a great one for that. Great one. Don't bottle it up, you
yeah,
know. And as a leader, it's very, very useful to find somebody you can open up to.
yes,
Whether that be consultant or whoever, or a friend or whoever it may be, colleague, but somebody you're not threatened by, that you can actually just
yeah.
take a bit of a distance and open up to them and share your problems, and that starts to resolve the problem straight away. You know,
Absolutely. We call it a BMW moment in Action Coach. It stands for bitching, moaning, and whining. So we say, look, it's okay. And one of several of my clients just say, I just want to offload. And I appreciate it's as a leader, I have to be what we call above the point of power. I have to take ownership. I have to be accountable, responsible. I have to do that, and that's the right thing to do. People need to see me do that. But as a human being, sometimes I just want to sit and blame a load of people. But I can only do that, as you right say, with people I trust.
yeah, I have a slightly different philosophy on that, and the philosophy I've always said was, if you've got a problem there, kick it out. If you can't kick it out, sort it out. If you can't sort it out, talk it out.
Brilliant, love it. Kick it
Right?
out, sort it out, talk it out.
Yeah, genuinely, I use that step process all the time.
Love it.
All,
Love it. I think, yeah, and I think just being able to talk through things is so, so important. And speaking of which, I mean, we're a business coaching organization. I'm keen to know who the best coaches are that you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. And you obviously mentioned someone already, but who's had the biggest impact on you?
um, I'd say two people, funnily enough, and you'll say this is weird, right? So one was Kakabatsi, this guy
Yep,
at Cranfield,
yep.
who really made me think, do you know what, life is too short, and make use of every minute you have and do things that, I mean, I've done some crazy things in my life, and you know, ne some of them, did you fail? Yeah, but some have succeeded. So, I had a guy I worked for once who said, make 10 decisions a day. And as long as you make one correct one, you've made one correct one, right? Don't worry about the nine failures, all right? I have
Mm.
to say that one individual, if you ever failed once, tended make sure you knew you failed. So his advice was great. His actual, use
Yeah,
of advice wasn't quite so brilliant. But Kakabatsu was one who did stop and make me think.
yeah.
Um, the other one, funnily enough, and you'll find this strange, Churchill. I
No.
read a lot of Churchill's. I read a lot of Churchill's, works and biographies, and I'm sort of heavily influenced by somebody who, whether you agreed with his policies and what he did or not, it didn't really matter, um, but who took on something which, was more enormous than any of us could possibly have imagined,
Yep.
and just took a country through that situation. And how did he do that? And if you
Yes.
listen to some of the recordings of some of the speeches he made, every word is polished.
Yes.
So I'm quite heavily influenced
That would
by
make a lot of sense.
sports people to a degree, um, but I take it with a bit of a pinch of salt because a strength of a sports person is they're pretty fit. So the fact they can do it, great.
Yep.
But if they can run, if my named predecessor Derek Ibbetson can go and run a mile in less than 4 minutes, doesn't mean that I can do that.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm inspired by it, and I'm, inspired by have done it. But I think you've got a bit of luck in that as well, and you've got a bit of DNA in that sort of
Yep.
drives that through. I can be quite inspired by people who've had disadvantage and
Yep.
yet succeeded. I can be quite inspired by people like that, because they've done something which is quite important, quite remarkable, and that is working out what they're not good at. So it gets
Yep.
back to the point about fill the gap with what you're not good at, and then really focus on what you are good at.
Yep.
And they found a way of resolving what they're not good at to excel in something they are good at.
Yep.
And particularly where you have some form of disadvantage, that to me is,
Yes.
is worth just stopping and listening and looking at. I mean, I've met a lot of bankers, funnily enough, that got out of banking and said, right, that's it. I'm done. I'm retired. And the brain dies in weeks.
Yeah.
It just dies in weeks, and they've not worked out what they can really go and do. So people who really excel and push themselves, I really look at and admire.
Brilliant.
But yeah, the two that if you really press me on two, one would be Gagbatson, the other is Churchill.
Brilliant.
There's a look at, right? There's a look at. So just play this one by you, and it doesn't matter what your politics are. Blair was quite interesting for me.
Yep.
Tony Blair was pretty interesting, and I look at some of the interviews he did. If you can go on YouTube and see what he did on 7/7, when he was at the G7 and then came back to London, and the speech that he gave when he came out, I think it was the G7, the speech that he gave there. Look at that and look how he presents himself. Look at the speed of his diction. Look at, I
Right.
mean, that was so well rehearsed.
Yep.
And I promise you, you'd look at that even now, 20 years on from that, those hairs at the back of your neck would go on edge. Just
Wow.
watch do it, right? So I look at things like that. Mandelson is another one. And again, doesn't matter what your politics are. Mandelson is an arch brilliant success model for me
Yep.
on how you deliver a message.
Yep. Yep.
If you look at his body language on interview, well rehearsed, right? And I've often said, if you said to me, choose one politician you can go away for a weekend with, I'd choose Mandelson.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
Politics aren't necessarily the same at all.
No. I get that.
How he does things and how he says things and
Yes.
how he delivers those things, I think is fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Brilliant. I'll look up Tony Blair's speech. Actually, now you said that, I'm quite interested to watch that. It's such a long time ago. I can't honestly remember it as well as
Yeah, have a look at that.
I will.
Have a look at that. Yeah, interesting.
And I'm keen to know what you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far, Peter.
Oh, this is admission time, isn't it? So as long as the kids aren't watching this, so I'm going to say this in two ways, right? I'm going to say this in two ways. I'm going to say what other people say or family says, right?
Yeah.
And then how I feel. So my son got married 2 weeks ago, right?
Brilliant.
One of the things he said in his speech when he stood up was, and now I want to thank my dad. He's a complete pain in the arse, but I couldn't live without him. Right? And he and I get on brilliantly. But I know I drive him round the
Wonderful.
I know it. So my wife would say the same, my daughter would say the same. All right. The kids both say to my wife, we don't know how you live with him. My wife says to the kids, I don't know how I live with him either. So I know I know it, right? I'm a bit of a driver. I've got my own way. I like my own way. They would say he doesn't listen. I would say I do listen. I would say I listen to every word that's said. Then I'll make my mind up.
Yep.
My mind is not the same in terms of where you want to get to as they want. Well, I'm sorry about that, but I've got my own mind.
Yep.
But I do listen. Um, I'm not very good at admitting I'm wrong, if I'm honest. I'm always right, and I think you've got to feel some of that if you're running a
Yep.
business, right? Now, inside, you're wrong, but you won't admit you're wrong. So I'm a bit dogmatic like that. But, in many ways, a couple of years ago, I had a bit of an illness.
Yeah.
Without the dogmatic approach and that positivity,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have recovered from that illness.
No.
But I did, and I have got that. So I know I can be a royal pain in the arse. But on the other hand, the positivity drives me on. I can say the wrong thing. I'm a northerner, and I'll say it as it is.
Yep.
And I'm sorry if that offends you, but that's how it is. And sometimes I'm taken to one side and told you shouldn't say that. And actually, that's got a lot worse over the 50 years that I've been in business. In those days, you could get away with it. Now you can't. I used to say, when I was giving a lot of speeches, I would say one of my claims to fame when I was standing up speaking to a dinner would be just to capture your attention that I slept with Kylie Minogue. And I did sleep with Kylie Minogue. Right? I did sleep with Kylie Minogue. I will guarantee that will pull a room of 300 people.
Yes, I can imagine.
What you're saying. Guarantee it, right? And in those days, I could get away with that, right? Now we have social media. I cannot get away with that. So I now need to follow it up very, very quickly with we were both at 39,000 feet and we were on adjacent seats, right? But we were both asleep. We were both asleep.
Brilliant. Love it.
So time has moved on. And, I used to say those things, get away with them. Can't do it now. That is quite difficult as well in a gender sense, in a race sense. A lot of those things now are much more difficult to manage.
Yes.
Ever were, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yes.
And those things, I'm not good at that. I'm not good. And I'm pulled in line a few times on things like that. But you sort of get to my age and can't change too much on things like that. And that's part of the DNA and part of the humor.
Yeah, no, yeah, brilliant. Love it. What a great story too. But as you say, it's the headline, isn't it? It's a great example of great marketing, isn't it? It's headline catches attention, and then we've got attention. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, look, I learned a lot of this as well in my NatWest days because this is a real learning point, Chris, because somebody said to me when I was running business banking, what's your job? I could go into a 10-minute diatribe of well, actually, I've got a team of 200 people here, and what we do is we do this, we do that. We bored stiff. You have about a 3-second attention span of someone listening to you before they turn off.
Yep.
So my immediate response to the question of what do you do is I open more businesses in the UK than anybody else. That was my 3 seconds. Then they would say, "Oh, talk to me about that."
Yeah.
Well, actually, what I do is I look after about 1 million businesses and their banking.
Brilliant.
Not personally, but the people that do, and so you drag it on. So yeah, but it's the catchphrase, it's the headline.
Absolutely.
Headline, man bites dog, headline. Dog bites man, nobody's interested.
Absolutely. And without that, we don't get the right to earn the next part of the conversation. And
yeah.
I remember a guy talking about, he was primarily talking about telemarketing, but exactly the same about any form of communication, I believe, or similar. And he called it the rule of threes, because it's exactly what you just said. You have 30 seconds to earn the right for the next 3 minutes.
Chris,
3 minutes for the next 30 minutes.
I wouldn't even say 30 seconds. I wouldn't even say 30 seconds.
3 seconds. Sorry, you're right. It starts with
seconds.
3 to 30, 30 to 3 minutes, 3 minutes to 30 minutes, and then from there. But it is that. Sorry, it definitely started at 3 seconds.
Yeah, look, I learned again. You learn these things over time, don't you? I used to coach rugby, and when my lad was little, and I remember talking to these guys. They were about age 8 one Sunday, and trying to tell them what to do. And there were 2 of them who were talking, and I said, "You never listen to. You don't. Just stop talking, right? I need to tell you. You need a week to work out what I'm trying to tell you." And one of the lads said to me quite calmly, "Well, why didn't you tell us last week then?" Right? You learn then, okay, different people, different ways, got to adapt and all that sort of thing. But you get a 3-second attention span. And it's the same with a headline.
Yeah.
If a headline, you get 2.5, 3 seconds of a journalist looking at a press release.
Yep.
before they decide if they want it. The headline defines that. They'll never read all the press release unless the headlines caught them.
Yeah.
So whatever you say, you've got 3 seconds of someone listening to you.
Brilliant.
Like, you know, and it can't hook them and hold them.
Yeah.
But 3 seconds.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
3 seconds is a big silence, though. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and just in 3 seconds, it sounds an eternity.
Just a little, and I love the idea of the pause, and then like let that sink in, and then we'll tell you what that's all about. And final question, Peter, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that? We're looking back over your very, very amazing career.
This has changed over 50 years, right? And an 18-year-old youth may say it was easier in our time, in my time, than it is in their time. That may be the case. I mean, it's tough for people to get jobs now. It's tough, right? But what I would say is do what you want to do. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, brilliant.
Really focus on that. Now, you know, going back 50 years, our parents weren't heavily moneyed. You know, they didn't support you. They couldn't support you, and you know, all that life. And you had a job for life. Now it's very, very different.
Yeah.
Work out what you like doing and do what you like. Don't focus on a job that brings the cash in, but you don't enjoy what it is, right? If you don't look forward to getting out of bed in the morning to do what your job is, don't do that job. Do what you like to do. Do what you want to do. Really focus on that and build your skill set on that.
Brilliant.
That would be my best advice.
Do you know what's interesting about that? That would be very in line with Gen Z. That's absolutely where Gen Z are right now. It's like looking for purpose, meaning, you know, and pleasure in what they do, and I think that's great. So what great advice going back over looking back over your career. Peter, it's been fascinating talking to you today, and I think I could keep going for another couple of hours, but for just before we finish, for anyone that's interested in connecting with you or learning more about Journolink, what's the best way of getting in touch?
Website journolink.com. All the details are on that.
Brilliant. Well, look, it'd be great to swing by another 6-12 months to just see next stages and get some more of your more stories. But
see if the hair is even greyer than it is now already. Than it is now.
But for now, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure, Chris.
Thank you.